want you to orchestrate your ideal life, like how you want it to look. If you're not married, who you want to be married, all the things
Welcome.
incorporated. It's going to take you some time to put it together. But I tell you what, orchestrating your life on paper is absolutely amazing. And one testimony of that, I did that years ago, and my kitchen today looks exactly like the one I drew out 30 years ago. So amazing. Thank you for that beautiful heart. Okay, so if you have problem, if this is really hard for you and you can't seem to get it, to like find the time and do the thing and say the stuff, there is a very amazing person who does this miracle morning. And I would highly suggest that this book really, really did change my life.
How y'all doing on this Saturday?
So tattered. Oh, no, this is the book.
How's it going?
Too. So go online and check it out. I think he has a lot of stuff free on YouTube as well.
Let's see. I think I want to change it to box.
Mastering your life starts in the first 2 hours of the day. That's why Tony does that early call every morning. Mastering becoming a gold in this company is going to take you some discipline that we're not used to doing. We've never been taught this before. We were, a lot of Americans, we were taught, get a job, go to work, come home and sit in front of the TV every night. Well, that old example has to be closed up and sealed up and put away, right? Yes. Show the book again. The Miracle Morning. This book has been, it's transformational. Just be prepared, because it's work and you got to get up at 5 in the morning. Some people get up at 4. My ultimate coach, the person that changed my life the most, is this beautiful woman right here. And she's not in the industry anymore because she's made so much money that they live on 10% of their income and give 90 away. She feeds over, the last time I heard her speak was 5,000 orphans and widows per month. And they have airplanes, and they live in a huge mansion, but I did read and see that she has 300 homes on her property now, and she's helping women and children come out of sex slavery. So she's turned everything around. She does not do any first step success anymore. And I was in an event of hers 2 or 3 times a year for years. So as you can tell, some of the stuff that I've shared with you, it takes some effort. So it's pretty much, I don't know, Tony, what do you think? 80% of self-improvement and 20% work?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's really
It's good to know.
what I feel is the best way to share that with you. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about neural pathways now. So like I said earlier, when we're born, we're taught all this stuff that maybe shouldn't have been there. Now, some people maybe weren't taught that, but they also may not have been taught the principles of running a business from your home. A lot of people have a hard time with that. They want to go clean, they want to go do yard work. They're like, no. You are disciplined to be in your office at a certain amount of time, and you got to write that down. But mostly,
Unless that's what you want for your business, like landscaping.
And it's so fun.
Or what else did she say? Cleaning? Yeah, some people like to do that.
It's all organic and it's all natural, and it's the way God designed you.
Mm-hmm.
He designed us to be.
I like natural products like from Melaleuca, and
I believe that this
it works in
should have never been
companies
given a
like
bad
that.
word or a bad name, because what we offer is harmonizing the family at home. Tony is around his kids all
Hello,
the time.
Juan.
And
Manuel
he's
Angel.
there with them all the time. And it's such a great thing. And I've been with my kids all the time too when they were
It's
here and growing up.
like a Zoom meeting. They're doing the educational
One
part
of
of
the
it.
things that I want you to start doing.
A little while ago, they did
word
the
smile.
presentation, like the webinar, but some of those webinars are already on this particular channel that I saved earlier. They do this every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They do the webinar followed by the educational part on how to build a business.
Laughter is the language of an antidote, which ails us. Laugh 100 times a day is like doing 10 minutes of cardio. Now listen to it when I smile. Laughter is a drug of choice. Laughter
She's
is my face.
doing mindset.
Laughter is the language of the young at heart and the antidote to what ails us. Laughing 100 times a day is like 10 minutes of cardio.
Wow.
As you can tell, I like the bright cards. I have hundreds of these around my house. This one right here, this is one of the main things that I've been doing for years, is I do decree and declare my youth is being renewed daily. I'm telling you, like, this one is so embedded in my spirit. I am healthy, I am strong, and I am wealthy. I have a fresh anointing of wisdom and knowledge. I am a great reader and a great leader. I am powerful at personal effectiveness. State of gratefulness all day. I intend and declare, and then I have my goal for this company written down with a date. So this is really, really raw for me to share this with you. Money comes to me easily, and I am a money magnet.
Oh yeah, we've seen that video a
These are
lot.
things that have made the neural pathways in my mind change my life. And you have that opportunity as well. And I'm going to show you how this works. So neural pathways are biological, real blood flowing into your brain. A little bit like this. So this is the brain, and this is the neural pathway that you grew up with that said, no, you can't, you're not going to, you can't do that. No, you'll get hurt. Don't touch that. Remember all those things that were said to us as children. And that reflects little things like this, like if you wrecked on your bike really bad and you tore up your leg and did our parents say, let's get it healed up, but you need to get back on that bike again. Now, I grew up with a skiing mom. I was on her back while she instructed skiing classes on snow. So I had a little bit more of that with my family, but a lot of people don't. And especially with my grandma's wisdom, right? Love my grandma's wisdom. But anyway, as you start building this neural pathway, the big, thick one that says 7K and success, you're going to meet people from all over the world, and it's going to be so much fun. But that's after it's already filled up. If you're brand new, you're just starting to butt through building it. So there's got to be some discipline. That's why the Caroline Leaf stuff is really important, because she's going to help you on a daily basis. Now, one of the people that I learned from in the beginning was Napoleon Hill. I don't know, Tony, if you ever listened to Napoleon Hill before, but there's a whole new series of Napoleon Hill videos out. And I listened to one this morning, and it was about creating a new aura of wealth. So aura would also mean, that could mean a lot of different things, but what resonates out of you when you walk into a room? Well, this may sound a little bit like when I go in to rent a car, they very often upgrade me without me asking. They'll say, hey, I'm going to give you an upgrade. We were in Gulf Shores this past week, and we walked into a restaurant, and I asked if we could sit by the window, and they were like, oh yeah, like absolutely. And they had to do a bunch to make that happen, because we were kind of a big group, because we were family that came in. But you're going to create favor around you when you start saying different things out loud to yourself every day. I'll quote to you some of the things I say to myself all the time. One of them, if you're brand new and you've never heard me talk before, this is the one you need to write down. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Yes.
Every day in every way.
Straight out of Tony Robbins. Got it from him 25 years ago. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Yes. And you can say wealthier and wealthier. You can say happier and happier.
Healthier and healthier.
Smarter, thinner and thinner. You can say them all. And I'll type this in the chat later. But getting back to the neural pathway, as you're building this neural pathway, you're going to need that exact quote, because that's what's going to actually make negative flee, and it's going to bring power towards you. So a couple of examples, we were at San Diego Zoo one time and it was hot. My little daughter was like, I can't walk anymore. I just can't walk anymore. And I said, okay, I want you to look where you're stepping, and we're going to say this. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Yes. We said 3 times, and we were at the top of the hill, and she was like, wow, that was easy. My grandkids use it in their sports and everything. My whole family knows that this is the way
I'm
you
going
can
to teach my
conquer
family
your
now.
mind, is by what your self-talk is. It's so important to say things out loud. So my neural pathway, I didn't have anything like this. Mine were all really vague. I was a drug dealer. I had my kids taken away from me. I was a big mess. And at 28 years old, I walked into an Amway convention, and a guy by the name of Jerry Meadows changed my life, because he said, you can be like a David. I was like, oh, that must be David from the Bible. And then I started reading all about David. But get this, I couldn't even read, because I had been told I was dumb, remember?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to learn anything. Those labels stuck on me. I was also hit over the head when I was 3 with a baseball bat and was in the hospital for a month. And that was really going to be the trigger point, because then she was going to be epileptic, right? So I had all these barriers coming up against me. It wasn't really very much fun back then. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I can see maybe, I don't really want to say the benefits, but I guess the benefits, right? So that first Amway convention that I was at, and Teresa Foxworthy right here with us, knows this man. I think she was in his group.
Yes, I met Jerry Meadows every month.
I learned this thing. Promise yourself to be so strong, nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel like there's something special inside of them. To think only the best, and to expect only the best. And to be just as enthusiastic for the success of others as you are for your own. To be too large for worry, too noble for fear, and too strong to permit the presence of trouble. This is my hope and prayer for you, that as you develop into this kind of person, we are going to see you on the beaches of the world. And that's been in here for 25, 30 years. And it doesn't go away. So remember back when I talked about Norman Vincent Peale said you have 6 seconds to change a negative thought? That's what I say. Promise yourself to be so strong, nothing can disturb your peace of mind.
She's talking about me. My name is Teresa Foxworth.
Like calmly, but you should see how I say them in the shower. I'm loud. Every day in every way, I'm getting wealthier and wealthier. Yes, you gotta jump up. You gotta do jumping jacks. You gotta be excited. And it doesn't mean that that's how you have to be. Like, nobody is like me, right? Like, for example, if any of you have been to a 7K event, you may have come across an extremely successful woman named Diane Graeber. And she carries that in her. She's got that success thing in her. But she's not like me. We're totally different people. So, angry much? All right, flip that one around right away. Anyway, think about your neural pathways. When you start developing a habit of finding a declaration.
Hello, Hannah.
The words that
thank you for joining us.
Means something to you, and you'll know when you sit down and start writing out your daily declarations, and you're declaring and decreeing, you'll know what to say, because you'll know what's important to you. And that's what makes this so
She's doing a mindset call, part of teaching us how to grow our businesses or whatever it is we're wanting to grow or get better at. It followed a webinar, and those webinars are on this particular channel as well that I've pre-recorded before from some of them. They're 1 o'clock on Saturdays Eastern Standard Time, followed by this
I
educational
didn't
part
remember
at
this. This
2 o'clock
one's gone long. I'm not gonna say
Eastern
full.
Standard Time.
I choose to initiate God's promises and
How
blessings
y'all
in my life
doing?
by declaring them as true. He is a God who gives life to the dead and calls things that are not as though they were. Romans 4:17. The power of the blessing is in speaking it. Ephesians 3:20, because I believe that God has more wonderful things planned for me than I could ever imagine. For the coming year and today, I lose it sometimes because y'all are making me nervous.
Oh.
I am blessed with God's divine purpose and perfect plan for my life. I'm blessed with gifts, God-given ability, and guidance. I'm blessed with strength of character, self-determination, and self-control. I'm blessed with family, friends, faith, and freedom.
The
I'm
F's.
blessed with promotion,
The F bombs.
protection, prosperity, and provision. I'm blessed with promotion, protection,
Peas.
prosperity, and provision. I'm blessed with the spirit of obedience, supernatural success, and a positive outlook on life. I'm blessed with a fresh start and a new outlook on life beginning today. I look so forward to the new thing that God is doing in my life right now. I choose to live over the past. This is quite
I
long
have
to
some
type
things in
out.
my
I
planner, so
choose
I'm
to
looking at my
let go of the
planner.
past and get excited about the future because I'm blessed. So that, that's something
Ronnie
that has
Brown.
literally changed my life. That saying right there, because when you say that, and you have to start out with just like 1 or 2 sentences at a time, and then memorize that, and then 1 or 2 more sentences, because it's just definitely takes time, to do that. There's so many stories that go through my heart and my mind that I want to share with you. It's already 17. Just about how much I want so much for you guys to get this and to
She
understand.
said earlier to say every day.
It's life-altering and life-changing when you can map out your world and write it all out and then make it happen. And it makes such a big difference. In that video that we watched with Denzel Washington, he said, and I was like swelling up in tears. He said, somebody needs to hear this in Alabama. Somebody needs to hear this in Tennessee. Somebody needs your message today, my friends, in Michigan. Somebody needs this message in Washington State. Somebody in California needs to know that they can create generational wealth, and you're the one that's going to find them. You're the one that's going to talk to them. And you can just be you. Just be you. But I'm telling you, there is some life-altering things that can happen in your world when you begin to change who you resonate from inside. And on our trip that my husband just took me on, I had to be around kind of a negative person. And, I'm kind of not used to that. And, I would listen carefully. And I just looked at him and said, I don't choose to go there. I don't choose to think that way.
Okay.
And by the end of a few days, I think he finally quit trying to give me his opinions because I told him I don't choose to think like that. And, when you are out there building your businesses, you just got to smile. And you got to find the secret in dealing with people is let them talk. Let them be who they are and just ask them questions. Okay, so I'll close with this one story. I had just got off of Danny Johnson event in Los Angeles, and I was flying home. This was actually before 9/11, so we didn't have all the TSA and all the stuff. So we were just in line, to take our suitcases and stuff up. And these folks were behind us, and I just started visiting with them. And I said, "Oh, where y'all from?" And they said, "Wherever, East Coast." They're from the East Coast, and they were in Los Angeles. And I was like, "Oh, wow." And they're like, "Yeah, our daughter got married this weekend here in Los Angeles." And I was like, "Really? Did she get married on the beach?" And they said, "How did you know?" And I thought, "Well, I just asked. I just thought because you're right here." And they said, "Yeah, they got married on the beach." And I'm like, "Did y'all go barefoot?" And they were like, yeah, we did. We were all barefoot. And I asked them so many questions about their life and about who they were. They didn't ask me any questions. And it was okay. That was fine. I had just come off a power-packed weekend with Danny Johnson. And I had learned all these techniques of how to get people to like you. This is how you get people to like you. And then they said,
so interesting.
I said, well, yeah, I'm in my own business. I was in the video business back then where we did a lot of video stuff. It was really cool. It was kind of before YouTube as well. I'm aging myself so much. But anyway, this man, him and I have done business together for the past 25 years. He buys a coin every single month. And we get in touch occasionally, but we built a bond in an airport that day because I wanted to know if their daughter was barefoot in her wedding. Her name is Christina. They have 4 kids. They have 2 dogs.
Building a rapport.
He's been through several jobs since then.
Building a rapport.
I don't think they know very much about me today, but that's okay. It's okay because it's just always kind of been like that. So find those people. His name is Bill. Go find you a Bill that wants to just be friends, and his wife's name is Katie. They're fabulous people, and I know that you're gonna make a big splash in this world because October 4th, 2025 is a turning point for you, and you're gonna gather some information together. You're gonna maybe grab one of these books. You're gonna do the every day in every way I'm getting better and better, yes, type thing. You're going to make those changes, and then you're going to smile more, and you're going to let all the negative stuff go because it doesn't really matter anymore. I'm also going to put a link in there for the Napoleon Hill stuff. He's old school, man. He's really old school.
Some of my favorite motivational books.
I think you're going to like it. So now, my pleasure. My mentor and my hero is going to share with you now. And he's just rock solid. He is just rock solid in everything that he teaches. So I trust so much that today he's got something fabulous planned for you guys. And I know he does because that's his nature. So thank you for your time today, my friends. Thank you for your beautiful comments. I really appreciate it. And with no further ado, I welcome to the stage Mr. Tony Hubbard. Take it away, my friend.
All right, Susan, as always, you failed to disappoint. I mean, you did some amazing things again, and took some copious notes. Was talking about the mindset and your self-talk and everything else. So do me a favor, put a 3 in the chat if you thoroughly enjoyed Miss Susan as I did today. Again, I asked her, just an hour and a half before the Zoom and stuff, and she was ready. Brought to us today, and that just shows you, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Let me put that in the
She
chat.
stays ready, always ready to perform and actually share from the heart.
You see the 3 in the
That's
chat?
why I understand why she's been such a successful entrepreneur. Again, and I was enjoying her journey. And here's the thing. Before I get into what I want to talk about today. Just understand we all have
Here's some of my favorite books.
If your goal is
Like
to
this
make
one, The Magic of
5
Thinking
figures a
Big.
month, your goal is to make 6 figures a year. If your goal is to make 7 and even 8 figures a year. Just know there are people in this industry that are doing that.
This
And
one,
just know that every last
Live
one
Your
of them
Dreams by Les Brown.
had a story. They had a journey. There's no such thing as an overnight success. I promise you that. I remember when I first got into this space. I mean, this is actually my birth month of becoming an entrepreneur. I got involved in my first company in October of 2000. My first company was a company called ACN, which was telecom utilities. And I made it to the second highest level at the other company at the time. I made it to the second highest rank, and then after a year and a half, I went full time. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen,
She's actually my cousin. Beautiful young lady.
about my journey.
She's working on becoming a lawyer.
I've spent tens of thousands of dollars going to seminars, hearing from people that have made way more money, that had way more success, because I've always been on a journey to find out the secret, And one of the things I found to be true, there are no secrets to success. There are just systems to success. I want you guys to
And
write that
another
down.
one is how to win
There are
friends
no
and
secrets
influence
to
people.
success. There are just systems
I
to
have
success.
someone borrowing that
Everyone
one
that
right
ever
now.
became successful
Trade books.
in network marketing in any company, they had a system. And because they followed that
We
system,
talk about
they
mindset,
were consistent, they
the
were
difference
persistent
in water
in that system,
molecules. Susan
they were
usually
able to
talks
have
about that.
those kind of results.
When you tell the molecule you love it,
The famous,
the water you love it, and saying thank
philosopher
you,
Socrates
and when you
put it
tell
like
the
this.
water molecule
He
I
said,
hate
we
you.
are what we repeatedly
This is what
do.
it goes into. Just water changes by how we speak to
Therefore,
it.
it's not an act, but a habit.
So she usually changes
So
that too.
we are what we repeatedly do.
Yeah.
Excellent, therefore, is not an act. It's not a one-time thing.
That's how we
It's a habit.
speak well
Here's what I
to
found to be
ourselves
true.
and to others.
People that make 5
We
figures
love.
a month in network marketing, they have 5-figure a month habits. If you spend time with any of them, and we're not talking about it that maybe joined a company and at the beginning and exploded and stuff like that, but it never happened again. I'm not talking about somebody that won the lotto. I'm not talking about somebody that caught lightning in a bottle. I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about the people that have made 5 figures a month for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years. I'm talking about the people that made 6 figures a year for 5 years, 10 years.
That's my
20
goal.
years. They
I
develop
want to retire comfortably.
5-figure a month habits. They develop 6-figure
Make sure all my
they
bills are
develop 7-figure
paid.
year
Make sure my
habits.
mother's retired.
Okay? And because they did that, ladies and gentlemen,
She is retired,
I want
but
you to know that each
fully
and every one of you
retired
that
if
on
she
this call
wants to.
today, that it's possible for you too. It is possible. Will it happen? For many of you guys,
It only works when she wants to. She owns a
and
beauty shop.
here's the reason why. Because you're not willing to pay that price. Okay? You're not willing to pay that price. One of the first lessons I learned in network marketing, one of my mentors said, you got to be willing to do the things today that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have. Okay?
And I can help others
You gotta be
more
willing
and
to pay a
have more
price.
free time.
So that's some of you that have had success over the years because I consistently see you on Zooms. I consistently see you on training calls. I'm consistently doing launch calls for you or somebody on your team. And that's why you're successful. And there's others that started out on the journey, but life got in the way. Life got in the way and they let life get in the way. I mean, you got to be willing to make sacrifices in order to get there. I mean, could I be doing something different for 2 hours on a Saturday? 100%. Could each and every one of you that are on here today, if you be honest with yourself, put a 3 in the chat if you could be doing something different at this time on a Saturday. Put a 3 in the chat. Okay?
Yeah.
That's why I respect each and every one of you that are consistently on here because, again, there's other things you could be doing. But you chose to invest this amount of time in your business so that you can get better, so that you can take it to another level. And today I'm going to start out by just sharing with you guys what my journey. Now, I've been blessed. I've made millions of dollars in this space in my 21 years. Okay? I've made several million in my 21 years in this space.
She has
But
a
it didn't
link.
always
I
start
know
up.
what
The
this is.
success I'm enjoying right now, it was not that way in the beginning. It took me until my 7th year before I ever made what I was
Train
making
your
with
aura
the kind
to
of
attract
income I
wealth.
walked away from. So mine,
Okay.
and I don't encourage anybody to go through that because most people, I've seen marriages destroyed because of what I did in my first venture.
Important.
I've seen
Yeah.
relationships destroyed because of what I did in my first venture. And I take full ownership of it. And what do I mean by that? I did the opposite of what we encourage people to do in network marketing. Meaning this. I don't encourage people to go full-time. If you have a full-time employment, I tell you to make the most of that. Make the most of that before you're looking at going full-time and removing the net. I mean, before you go full-time and take off the parachute.
I've heard people say
I encourage
triple your income
you
before
to
you
take full
do
advantage
that.
of your income on the 9 to 5 before you're looking at going full-time because it's not for the faint of heart, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I've been a full-time entrepreneur taking care of family of 7 since 2012. I mean, I have not punched the clock for any company since 2012. Okay? Again, I believe in being very transparent. I'm going to share with you my story, my journey. See, because a lot of people would love the glory. They would love to have
He
the
makes
lifestyle.
like
They
$1
would love to
million
have
in
the
it
income.
now a
They
year, I
would love to
believe.
have no silver amount of gold to
That's what
accumulate over that time.
they've said sometimes.
But they not willing, you know, they would love to have the
For
glory,
over $1
but they
million.
don't want the story that comes along with it.
He's my
They don't want
mentor.
the story that comes along with it. They don't want the disappointments. They don't want the no-shows. They don't want to deal with the attrition that I've had to deal with. They don't
People
want to
leaving.
deal with the fact that I've had to start companies. You know, get to a certain rank and then somebody see what they think is the grass is green on the other side, and a couple of leaders leave when they go and they take, you know, a fourth of your team with them.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
one of the things I found to be true, and I want you guys to write that down as well,
It's not
because
nice.
it's helped me tremendously in my 21 years of network marketing, is that every time you're faced with a challenge, you always have one of two choices. And those two choices are this: give up or get better. Let me say that again for those of you on the back row. Anytime you have a challenge in network marketing, and you will have challenges, you always have one or two choices: give up or get better. And I chose in my 21 years to just keep getting better. Okay? So, I wasn't making just 60, 70, 80,000 a year before I got involved in network marketing. They say people join network marketing generally for two reasons. For inspiration or desperation. Mine was desperation. And they said, what do you mean desperation? Because I was making six figures already. I was making my last 10 years at the chemical plant, the 14 years I worked there, the last 10 years I was making, and this was from the 90s to the early 2000s, I was making between $130,000 to $150,000 a year, which put me in the top 10% of earners anywhere in the world. Okay? So that afforded us to have a house, a nice house, and multiple vehicles. And my wife has been a stay-at-home mom for 35 and a half of the 36 years we've been married. Okay? She likes the title domestic engineer. Okay? So when I say I went full-time, I didn't mean my wife was still working a 9 to 5. I didn't mean my kids were bringing money into the house. When I went full-time, you know, I had to develop the mentality to eat what I kill. Okay? Because there wasn't no retirement plan in place. There was no, I didn't get a retirement from the chemical plant. I was there for 14 years. So I didn't live off that retirement. I didn't have 20, 30 years from that where I had a steady...
We don't have a pension on our job. We just have our
I didn't
403B.
retire like Mr. Chris Ladney.
I thought we would have a pension,
So he
but
gets a certain amount
nope.
of money every month. I didn't have that parachute for myself. And so, and I walked away, and again, I don't encourage you guys to do it. I walked away, my last year at the chemical plant, I made $150,000, and I walked away. And I walked away before I was making six figures in my first company. I told you, in my first company, I never made six figures. Okay? I didn't. But the desperation part of it was that I had been there for 12 years when the merger took place. And like I said in my testimony, they told us nobody got nothing to worry about. There was 3 companies that merged: OxyChem, Lyondale, and Millennium, and they formed Equistar Chemicals. Okay? And they said nobody got anything to worry about. 6 months later, they said 1 out of 4 by Christmas, of all times of the year, 1 out of 4 by Christmas won't have a job. And we weren't union, ladies and gentlemen, so that means they could pick and choose. So the way we looked at it, it had nothing to do with your merit. It had nothing to do with how good of a worker you were, that you always came in. Because think about it. Now, I had the confidence to believe that if they were based upon your work performance, I was going to be okay. But I didn't know. Okay? I didn't know. I didn't know what all the factors came into play. Because at the time, I had been there 12 years. I missed 1 day of work in 12 years. 1 day. And that's when my son was born, and I didn't have any more vacation. So I take out 1 day to make sure I was there when my son was born, because I cut the umbilical cord. Okay? And so...
There's no such thing as job security.
But I didn't
I learned that in a meeting.
And although I made the cut, I watched what happened when all the eggs in one basket. I saw ladies' lives destroyed like that. People that have been there longer than I have. Okay? I mean, I saw grown men, grown ladies crying.
Yeah.
When they told them, I mean, the moment they told us it was going to happen in 2 months, it was like being at a funeral. People left out of there, I'm like, in panic mode. People were saying out loud, I can't lose my job. Because think about it, we were at a place that 6% of us made over $100,000 a year without a college degree.
And the lifestyle was up to
without a college degree. And to be in danger of losing that, I saw, and I began to be open to a plan B. Again, just to make sure that if it happened again, my life wouldn't be destroyed. My family's life wouldn't be destroyed.
Nuts.
Okay? And so, so what happened, I got a taste of entrepreneurship. I got a taste of time freedom because I was making a couple $1,000 a month, part-time. But my mentality, and again, one of the first mistakes I made, at that time, I had not developed an entrepreneur mindset. I still had an employee mindset, okay? Because my employee mindset told me, if I'm making a couple $1,000 a month part-time, when I go full-time, that number will double, triple, quadruple. And it never did in my first company. It never did.
Wow.
And so, I went full-time after a year and a half. I walked away from $150,000. And I struggled for 5 years. I made enough just to pay the bills, but I put my family in a financial hardship.
Yeah.
And so it forced me to go back into corporate America. So
some
I
say
took a
double your
4-year
income
hiatus
before you
after
do
my
that.
first company.
Some say triple.
Because like I said, I started over 25 years ago, but I only have 21 years of network marketing experience. Believe me, very transparent. And so after that deal, I went back into corporate America. The best thing that happened to me in my 7 years in that company is that I learned some skills, okay? I learned some skills. I learned, because I had never done anything remotely close to sales. I worked in banking, I worked in restaurants, and I worked in the chemical plant. So I had never did anything in sales prior to network marketing. But I learned enough in there that when I went back into corporate America, I went to ADT Home Security, the largest home security company in the world. And only thing I knew about that alarm system that I had one in my house. That's it. But I learned some skills. And as Jim Rohn would oftentimes say, skills make labor more valuable. I learned some skills. I learned how to set goals. I learned the importance of finding a mentor. I'm sharing this with you because the same principle works in your network
He's my
marketing.
mentor.
The principles that we teach you in network marketing will work in your everyday life, in your relationships, in traditional business, on your 9 to 5. These same principles will work.
Okay.
And so I use the principles I learned in my first network marketing company, and I got back to 6 figures, and I got back to multiple 6 figures in 4 years at ADT. That was my first time I got to $250,000 a year, my 4th year there. Okay? And what drove me to that, when I hired on with ADT, again, I got tired of the bill collectors call.
Certainly is humble.
So when I hired on ADT, they told me if you're above average, you'll make $60,000 your first year. I made $80,000 my first year there, without having ever sold an alarm before. And they said if you're really above average, you should crack 6 figures by your 2nd year. Well, by after 1 year, I had a system down there. I had a mentor that was making over $100,000. And
Mentor.
I knew none of them could outwork me. I knew that. And so all I did was put a goal. Because it was over 3,000 people that did alarm sales for residential in North America. That was over 3,000. And every month, on the 5th of the month, they reported everybody's numbers in North America. So you knew exactly how many sales everybody made. And if you understood the comp plan, you know pretty much what they made as far as commission. So I set a goal. I looked at everybody's numbers for 1 year. I said, listen, I want to finish top 5. I want to make $125,000. That
Okay.
I finished number one. I made $186,000.
Ooh, that goes. Put a number
Number one,
on it.
made $186,000. And to let them know I wasn't a flash in the pan, I didn't get lucky. I set a goal for my second year to make $200,000 and to finish number one again. Well, I did make $200,000 and I did finish number one. Actually, I set a goal for $250,000. So I cracked 200. I made $204,000, and I finished number one again. And the only reason I didn't hit $250,000 that was the year Hurricane Ike hit, and we lost 2 months of sales. I mean, it's hard to sell somebody a lawn if they ain't got eyes. Okay?
Oh, wow.
So, but we still made over $200,000. My last year there, I made $250,000. So, but during that 4-year hiatus, ladies and gentlemen, I told my wife, and by that time my wife hated never market. I told my wife, I said, baby, I'm gonna do it again simply because of residual income.
Call the baby.
Okay. I said 6 figures years, but it's a lot nicer if that income is residual. So I told her I was gonna do it again. So when I
Keeps
started
coming,
income,
even when you're sleeping.
I was still going to seminars. I was still buying books. I was still getting on conferences. Although I wasn't involved in the company, I was a customer for several people. But I was doing it knowing that, eventually the right opportunity would come along and I would have the skill set to make the kind of money I wanted to make. And then my second company was a gold and silver company called Preservation of Wealth. They started in 2009. I joined in March of 2012. And I made $160-some thousand my first year, and I made over $300,000 my second year in that company. And I got up to $50,000 a month. Okay, because I own my skill, and I've been full-time in network marketing ever since. Now I've added other entrepreneur things to me, traditional, part owner of a roofing business, consulting business, things of that nature. But I love this profession, and a major reason why is that where else can you go without a college education, without a special skill set?
We also have doctors that are in this, so regardless of your educational level.
Coachable and teachable, and live the lifestyle that most people dream about. So this industry doesn't care, ladies and gentlemen, if you came from Yale or if you came from jail. It don't. You don't care if you come from Yale or from jail. I mean, I've seen people that were homeless at one time come in network marketing and create a lifestyle that most people dream about.
That's amazing.
I've seen bus boys make $1 million in a year. Mm-hmm. I've seen waitresses make multiple 6 figures.
So don't judge.
Okay. I've also seen engineers.
There you go.
Make millions of dollars a year. I've seen doctors
in
network marketing.
Hello.
That was able to leave their practice because of what they made in network marketing. Mm-hmm. I've seen it, ladies and gentlemen. So from all walks of life, you can make it in this space. But I want you to understand that you've got to be willing to pay that price, though. So that's the thing, a lot of people overlook. They see the glory, but they don't want the story. Mm-hmm. And you got to realize, they named it right. This is network marketing, not net wish marketing, not net I hope it works marketing, not net I'm a roll the dice marketing. This is network marketing.
But it's not like digging a ditch.
The only time success comes before work is in the
dictionary.
Okay? Let me show you the structure again. I promise you, sacrifice and struggle will become, before you ever become successful, and yes, that's exactly how it appears in the dictionary. So I'm just sharing with you guys part of my journey in this space. Part of my journey. Like I said, in my first company, my second company where we cracked over $50,000 a month consistently before that company, and that company went out of business later. So again, I was faced with a crossroad again. What do? Give up to get better. I chose to get better. Now, before that company went down, a friend of mine asked me to build him a sales force in the roofing business. And so I started doing that in addition to my network marketing business. And when that company went down, I basically was, full-time entrepreneur, part owner of a roofing company. Okay. During that time, I was approached with several other companies. So this was like a 1.5 years time before 7K came calling. And 7K came calling, the owner of my first gold and silver company. He was the one that sold them the concept. If you look it up, and again, I believe in being very transparent. If you go to YouTube, if you Google a company called Preservation of Wealth, that company started in June of 2009. They closed their doors in December 2014. And in 2013 and 2014, I was the top guy in that company. Okay, 2013, 2014. All right? And so, yeah. I mean, it was started out in June of 2009, and they closed the doors in 2014. Now, I owe the guy a debt of gratitude, the owner of that company, because he sold the concept. He went around for a year and a half looking for some owners that could do it right and that had enough experience to know how to do it right. And so he sold the concept of that company to Roger Ball, Josh Anderson, Zach Davis, and Richard Hanson. And when he sold them the concept, they decided, okay, we're going to do it. He also told them about me. So that's how that's how I became one of the founding members of 7K. He told them about me. And so he called me the first time. That meeting took place with the co-founders in July of 2016. Okay. He called me in August. And he said, listen, I've sold the concept to a billionaire, to 3 billionaires. I told them about you. They want to meet you. Initially, I blew him off because of how things went in that last company. And then, because he got sued several times. He got sued a couple hundred times. I didn't sue him, but he did get sued. Companies was in Dallas, and he lived in Dallas. I'm in the Houston area. So he called me again the second time in October 2016. And he said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I told him, what I had on my agenda. He said, well, I got to come to Houston for a court appearance for the lawsuit. He said, let me buy you lunch. And I said, well, guy, he owed me quite a bit of money from what happened in that company. I said, hey, let's do lunch. And at that lunch, he said, listen, I sold the concept to these guys. They're going to launch it in 2 weeks. I told them about you, and they want to meet you. Okay? And it was such short notice. I mean, they wanted me to bring 5 people with me. They were going to take care of the expenses. I could only get one of my best friends on the planet, which was Pastor Keith Street. And so he and I flew up there to meet with the co-founders of the company. Okay, they didn't offer to pay my way in or nothing like that. That was not the case. I've never played that game. They're what I call mercenaries in this space. Again, I'm just being very transparent. There are people I call mercenaries, which they jump from company to company looking for a deal. You pay me $50,000, you pay me $100,000, I'll bring thousands of people to your company. There are people that play that game. I've never played that game. Because after I made my first 6 figures, I had a lot of companies that would call me, wanted me to come to their company and offer me. I mean, that was one company offered me $40,000 a month for 6 months. Guaranteed. If I would come on board and build a team. And I told them I just don't play that game. And so I went up there and met with the co-founders with one of my best friends on the planet, Pastor Keith Street, out of North Carolina. And he was the first guy I signed up. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2020. And I went up there not knowing these guys from Adam. I knew the owner of my first company. I knew that of the 4 founders, one was a billionaire, the other was a 3 millionaire. That's all I knew when I went up there and met with those guys. That's all I knew. And so we sat in a conference room for 4 hours. When they picked us up from the airport, Richard Hanson picked us up from the airport. We sat in the conference room for 4 hours. Myself, Josh Anderson, Zach Davis, Roger Ball, Richard Hanson, the owner of my first company, myself and Pastor Keith Street, for 4 hours. They machine gunning me with questions. I'm machine gunning them with questions. Where are you going with this? What's your plan? You just want to get to a certain number, then you're going to sell us out. I mean, what's the deal? And I was totally convinced. I mean, after I left 4 hours, I went and I checked back to my hotel room, prayed about it. I decided to plant my foot down. But because of what happened in my first company, again, being very transparent, I was optimistic and skeptical at the same time. Okay? I was optimistic and I was skeptical at the same time.
Cautiously optimistic.
So the first year I was in 7K, I made 5 trips up to Idaho Falls, Idaho. I didn't know that place existed. And that's one of the coldest places on the planet. I don't care what nobody says.
Oh my.
You know, it's close to Alaska cold, you know. Because the first time I went up there, the company launched, I flew up there November the 3rd, 2016. The company launched November the 5th, which, by the way, if y'all want to get some points, that is also Christy Ball, Roger's daughter. That's her birthday, November the 5th, 2016. Okay? So, I flew up there 5 times in the first year. I took 30 different leaders with me over those 5 trips so they could feel the brick, kick the tires. And every time I went up there, ladies and gentlemen, I was more convinced than the time before. I had planted my flag in the right place. Okay? I'm just telling you about my journey. Okay? And for those who may not know, the first 2 years of 7K, we didn't make the kind of money. We didn't have the ability to make the kind of money we make now because in the beginning of 7K, it was just designed for everyday non-professional networkers to make $500 to $1,000 a week. That's the most money you can make. Okay? And so because I was, full-time with my business with the roofing, I didn't need the income of 7K, But the original comp plan was $500 to $1,000 a week, and everybody the rank was an associate. Once you got 2 people, if you got 20 people, if you got 40 people, you were still an associate. That was the rank, okay? And you could make $500 or $1,000 a week, and that was it.
Yeah, they had one rank.
So after 2 years, they changed the comp plan, and the first enhancement, the top of the comp plan was Gold Associate, okay, $7,000 a week. And when they changed the comp plan, there were 7 of us at that time that were silvers.
You show you a picture.
Because the people had already sponsored. And so it was a mad dash in the first part of 2019 to see who was going to be the first Gold Associate in 7K. Okay? And myself and Richard Hansen,
Now
at the
here's
time
some of
he
the
was a
ranks.
master distributor and a co-founder, we were the first 2 to hit that rank of gold in June of 2019. We both hit it in June of 2019. So I was the first one in the field that was not an owner that hit Gold Associate in June of 2019. And then a couple of years later, they enhanced the comp plan again, and they added executive gold and presidential gold. And then last year, they added platinum, executive, and presidential platinum. So they've done some amazing enhancements, and this company is about as solid as any company I've ever seen in my 21 years of networking. So I said all that to say this, is that when people have success in their marketing, they all have 3 elements of the story. They have
See, a check per week could be anywhere from $250 to $12,500.
about how you can get on that journey of having the kind of right mindset, your self-talk, and everything else.
Per
You
week.
also have the right skill set.
Could be.
And again,
Up
if
to.
you don't come in with it, it can be learned. The skill sets I have right now, I did not have that 25 years ago when I first came into space. I didn't have the kind of, I didn't have the ability to recruit like I do now.
And we don't take your payment information. It goes straight to the company.
On my journey of 25
So it's secured,
You gotta have
and
the
we
right
don't share your
mindset.
information.
You have to have the right skill set, and last but not least, and if you're a part of 7K, you have the 3rd element if you're gonna be successful. You gotta catch the right opportunity at the right time. And with gold and silver doing what it's doing right now, ladies and gentlemen, we at the right place.
Yeah, it was 3,000
right
and
time.
4,000.
Now, each and
Expected
every
to
one
go
of
to
us
5,000 by the end of the
just
year.
gotta seize the opportunity. Because here's what I know to be true. Because I watch the trends of this industry. Here's what I know to be true.
They continue to charge the same
Companies that
lower
are
price
legacy
for it.
companies, that are $1 billion plus a year
The
companies.
value
Amway still the
increases.
biggest, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Amway does $7 to $14 billion a year every year. Okay, so they're still the biggest players out there.
You're the first.
That's been about 50 companies that have become billion-dollar companies in this space, and 7K will be in that number in the next, I say, 2 to 5 years. Okay, and in order for 7K to get to that point, here's what I want you to understand: if 7K become a billion-dollar company, that will be a few dozen people that will be making $1 million a year in 7K, and that will be hundreds of six-figure-a-year earners in 7K. And that will be thousands of people. When 7K becomes a billion-dollar company, billion-dollar-a-year company, there will be thousands of people that will be making full-time income, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 a year in 7K. So I want you to understand, if you don't know, here's what I know. You're at the right place. It's the right time. It's on all of us to seize the opportunity. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap it up today. Looking at the report this morning, there are quite a few of you that, with a little extra effort, you can make an extra 500 today.
Thank you for watching.
The cutoff is Saturday, Midnight Mountain. With a little extra effort, you can make a couple $1,000s today. With a little extra effort, some of you can make in a day what most people make in a month. I see Alan with his hand raised. Let me go ahead and unmute, my friend.
Tony, good afternoon, and everybody here a part of this. I
went from zero to profit definitely within 7 days.
I have 2 tools I'm going to teach people. This scalpel and the flame, it's called a flamethrower, right? Those are tools. With the mindset, you got to take the scalpel or the flamethrower. If you're trying to redo your mind, cut pieces out from the past. Or, if you really need to do it, burn the whole thing down and burn the boat after you cross the Rubicon.
Picture
That is
that.
what some of us have done
Picture that.
with the help of 7K Metals. If you can't figure it out, we're here to push you or pull you across the stage. Let us do that for you. If you want to burn it down, work with us to understand how we've had to realign our soul, our mind, and our faith to find the best leaders within 7K Metals, folks. That's all I got, Tony.
I appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, man. And again, looking forward to doing this journey with you for many years to come. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to end the call today with one of my favorite motivational quotes. It said, basically, follow your dream wherever they may lead. Don't be distracted by less worthy deeds. Shelter it, nourish it, help it to grow. Let your heart hold it down deep where dreams go. Follow your dream and pursue it with haste. Life is too precious and too fleeting to waste. Be faithful, be loyal, and all your life through, the dream that you follow will keep coming true. So my biggest thing I want you to take away from today, because you're going to have ebbs and flows in your business. I don't care who you are, I don't care how successful you are. But some of the best advice I was ever given in my 21 years as a network marketer is don't quit. So I'm going to leave you guys with that, and we'll wrap it up today. And it said, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit,
Rest if you must, but don't you quit.
Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us
sometimes learns.
And many a fella turns
It's about
when he might have won had
that he
just
stuck
stuck
it out.
Don't give up though. The pace seems slow. You may succeed
With another blow.
Often the struggler is nearer than. It seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup, and he learned too late when the night came down how close he was to that golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, as silver tint in the clouds of doubt. And you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems so far. So stick to the fight.
When his
your
heart is hit,
is when things seem worse.
that you must not quit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am thoroughly convinced it is a stone cold fact. We have a better way. Now let's go out there and tell the world I'll be